Okay. Okay, guys. Is there anybody watching? Blah 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 blah. 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 Hey, Jesse Scott. Oh, yeah. It's turkeys can fly, really, honestly. Turkeys can fly, Jesse Scott. Hey, Jesse Scott. Oh, yeah. Turkeys can fly, really, honestly. Turkeys can fly, Jesse Scott. Hey, Jesse Scott. Oh, yeah. Turkeys can fly, really, honestly. Turkeys can fly, Jesse Scott. Hey, Jesse Scott. Okay, let's get back to our stuff. Okay, now, man, a big point. Okay, Christine, the movie Christine, Arnie Cunningham, a nerdy guy, kind of reminds me of myself in a way, being a young person. The main thing is getting back, today the car Christine, the 58 Plymouth Fury, which is just like a special edition of the Belvedere, Plymouth Belvedere, whatever like that. I mean, in the book by Stephen King, the car was actually a four-door in the book, but basically a nerdy guy that kind of loves a undesired car because, I mean, even a muscle car after 15 or 20 years, it loses a lot of its popularity, I mean, to a certain extent before it actually starts going back up in value. The value kind of bottoms out and it becomes just an old clunker car. This car was an old clunker car and people really thought it was a piece of crap, it's just like admiring a car that, if you're a car person, you admire a car, that's not desirable, and just over time, a car that becomes undesirable over time really becomes more desirable over time. I mean, your 80s Olds Cutlass, your mid 80s square body Olds Cutlass, Today, the value on these what they call a G-body Olds Cutlass is really going up in value. The G-body Olds Cutlasses in the mid 90s, we had a couple of those kind of cars, I had one, my mom had one. My mom had a Monte Carlo and I had a Pontiac Grand Prix, in the mid 90s. So, and they were 80s, mid 80s G body cars. And actually, some people thought that my Grand Prix G body was actually not that desirable. That people thought that my Grand Prix G body was not very desirable. My granddad taught me how to drive on a 69 Chevy Impala, two-door, with a 327 under the hood. In 1989, the 69 Impala could actually be laughed at by kids at school. Can you imagine the 69 Impala being laughed at in school? Some of these cars, and my cousin had a friend, we rode around in a mid-70s Buick Regal big body car. My cousin, I admired that car so much that guy drove. My cousin, dissed me because, why do you like that car? Why do you like that car? Because it was like a granny car. But today, your old Cutlasses and the big body cars are really becoming worth money. They're desirable. So it's weird that cars can lose their value and be considered nerdy, and then over time they can actually become really iconic, just like a car like the Christine car is just not a desirable, wasn't it? In the context of the time period when the movie was made, the Christine car, was really not that desirable. And it was in bad condition. It was in bad condition, a real project. And it was a car that some people thought was a poor tasting car. And like an article, a documentary, commentary that I watched, that Chrysler, Dodge products or Mopars, Mopars just were more undesirable. Mopars were more undesirable. Dodge products were a little more undesirable than a Chevrolet. The Chevrolet was actually the number one. Especially something, like that. It was just, basically it was undesirable at the time. It's just interesting to me how a car can, really gain popularity, and the status of it can really, really change, the status of a car can really change. It can really gain value. It can really gain value and change. So I thought that was interesting. A movie made in 1983, but based in 1978. So another shot of the car, just an old car, and he likes it, and everybody tries to talk him out of that car. Everybody tries to talk him out of buying it. I guess if you're going to buy something like a vehicle or anything else, basically you got to buy it because you love it, You got to buy it because you love it yourself, Like Arnie buying Christine, like Arnie buying Christine. You got to buy the car because you love it, You can say, I'm going to try to become part of the Ricer community. I'm going to be a car person, a car guy, a car person. I want to get into the Ricer community. I want to get into the muscle car community. I want to try to get into the monster truck community or the lowrider community and get into one of these car communities. But basically, you got to forget, I guess, about these car people and do your own thing yourself. To love a car, you've got to see it as a work of art, A car is a work of art. A car is a work of art. You see the car, it is an architectural marvel, in design. It's a marvel of design. It's not just a car, it's a marvel of design. It's the most well-designed car anywhere. Because you love it. You really think it deserves to be on the road and to be preserved and to be kept on the road because it is a work of art. The car is a work of art. And that's the main reason a person would get into a project and waste a lot of money on cars, is because it's a work of art, the 69 Chevy Impala. When I was in high school, I admired my grandparents' 69 Impala. You know, I admired my granddad's 69 Impala. Here is a picture of one just like it, identical. That's a super sport. And my granddad's car, parents' car was just like that, but it wasn't a super sport. It was just a regular sport coupe. That's what it was called back then, was a sport coupe. That's a convertible. It was a hard top. It didn't have the pillars around the windows. It was just like that. It was a hard top with no vinyl top. Just no vinyl top, just a hard top coupe. I know, that's a Caprice. You see, that one has a different kind of window line on the side. But basically, you know, the 69 Impala, I thought it was a marvel of design. The 69 Chevy Impala was really a marvel of design. I really, look at those hidden headlights, man, on that 69 Impala. I mean, that's beautiful, you know, work of art. A car, I'll tell you a couple of cars I really think are, now a car I bought one time, and you know, really, some people I worked with really thought it was a nerdy car to buy. Why would you get it? It's called a Deuce and a Quarter. It's just like this, a 69 Buick Electra, you know. That's what this car I had was. And I had it in 2003, 2004. And I bought it as a project, you know. There's a four-door, just like this. You know, pillarless four-door hardtop, just like that. 69 Chevy Impala, 69 Buick Electra 225 with a 455 swapped out into it. It was built with a 430 cubic inch motor, but somebody had switched to a 455. Thought it was a beautiful car. I really thought the Buick Electra was a really beautiful car, man. I thought the Buick Electra, I should have kept it and drove it and fixed it up. I got a little video I made of it, but you know, the 69 Impala, the 69 Buick Electra, but you know, it was the stigma. That's why I got rid of it, the stigma. And I wanted a pickup truck for a camper. I started getting into campers, and I wanted a pickup truck to haul a slide-in camper or pull a camper. You know, I wanted to get an Airstream or something. Because I changed interest. I lost interest. And a lot of people that get into classic cars, restoring cars, whatever like that, they lose interest in projects, you know. You know, they lose interest in projects. You know, people get into projects, they lose interest in these projects. And, you know, I lost interest in the 60. Man, that's a big-ass car. I thought it looked too much like something that black men would drive, you know. And all the people that came to look at that car were black men. They were all black men. You know, my mom had the 86 Monte Carlo. And I got rid of the 86 Monte Carlo. My mom signed that 86 Monte Carlo over to me. My mom signed the 86 Monte Carlo over to me. Why did I get rid of the 86 Monte Carlo? Because it wasn't quite a classic yet. And it wasn't quite as desirable yet. Because the 86 Monte Carlo wasn't as popular as it is today. In 2004, when I sold the 86 Monte Carlo, 2003 or 2004, I think in 2004 I sold 2003 maybe I sold the 86 Monte Carlo. It was just like that. It had the front end just like that. My mom bought it in 1993. It had maybe 70,000 miles on it in 1993. And so she bought it. She drove it when I was in college. She drove that car. And that was when I had my Pontiac Grand Prix. My mom's car was a maroon color. It wasn't like that. It was a maroon, just like that, but a maroon color. It had bucket seats and a console. Floor shifting automatic, you know, in the 86 Monte Carlo two-door. I had, during that time period, 1994 and 1995, Mom drove that car from 93 to first part of 96. The first part of 1996. And she signed the Monte Carlo over to me, and then she got mad and took it back away. Then I drove it until 2004, and I sold it, you know. But I got rid of the Monte Carlo. I got a Grand Prix is what I got in 1981. Oh man, hell yes. This is just like my car. And this is just like the identical to the car I had. The 81 Pontiac Grand Prix. Now that's what I had in 1990 and 1994, you know. And I totaled it in 1995, but I bought it in 94. Just like that, same color and everything, same color roof, dark blue vinyl top, light blue body, light blue metallic, you know, light blue metallic paint. So I bought it and it had mechanical problems, but I drove it, you know. It had over 200,000 miles on it. It had 232,000 miles on it when I bought it. And it had maybe a different engine put in it, but it had over 200,000 miles on that car, and I drove it every day. I drove it to college. That's what I did. I drove it to college every day. In 1994 and 1995, I drove it to college every day. But I totaled it, tore it all to hell. Hey there, yeah, hey Mister, how are you, Mr.? But my mom had the '86 Monte Carlo with the bucket seats and the console, and I got it in early '96. And I drove it, and then I went through a period where I didn't drive it, so my mom kind of took it away, made me pay for it again, and I sold it in 2004, I think. Because I wanted a truck so I could get a camper, you see. I wanted a truck so I could get a camper, because, well, in 2003 or something, I sold the Monte Carlo. It was in maybe 2003 I sold the Monte Carlo because I got a 69 Buick Electra. I guess you saw the 69 Buick Electra I had. You know, I got the 69 Electra because it was a classic. The Monte Carlo just wasn't a classic. Now, when I totaled the Grand Prix in 1995, I got a 79 Chrysler LeBaron. Oh hell no! This is identical to the one I had. This car is identical to the car I had. I paid $200 for this car from somebody in our neighborhood that we went to church with. 79 Chrysler LeBaron with a 318, just like that. The only difference is my car had a tan vinyl top. But I totaled my Grand Prix. I totaled it. And so I got this 79 LeBaron, drove it around quite a while, you know, in the 79 LeBaron in 95. And then I got rid of it because something happened to it and I didn't have it fixed. So another guy in the neighborhood had a 79 Aspen, 2-door, just like this. It had the louvers over the windows. It was white with louvers over the windows, just like that. I paid $600 for it. It looked just like the Aspen RT, but it wasn't an RT. It was just like that, though. 79 Aspen with the louvers over the side windows. Just like that right there. That was just like my car, 79 Aspen. Just like that with the louvers over the windows and everything. I drove that into early 96, and this woman that I was with, I sold it to her so I could get the Monte Carlo from my mom, and she could get a Plymouth Acclaim, you know, a front-wheel drive. She wanted a front-wheel drive. And I drove it for quite a while. But that's kind of some of the cars. A manual transmission. The Aspen was an automatic. I had my 2003 Honda Civic. Oh, that's really cool. I bet you have good luck out of it. I had quite a few other cars too, but I like big cars. I just always loved them. And people that didn't admire big cars, I always thought some of the big cars were underappreciated. You know, they weren't appreciated. They weren't loved. They weren't appreciated. They didn't get the love and appreciation I felt like they deserved, you know. So the guys today that have the donk, you know, the guys today that are doing the donk thing, you know, I really admire these cars, and I think these big old cars are a work of art, you know.